125, take one marker.
This is Direct Response Marketing Mastery, where 3 decades of proven experience has launched products, built brands, and generated profits. These are the stories behind the businesses that have been built.
We needed to work with a group that was really going to understand what it was about our service that was unique and why our members loved it.
Response television is such a better value to anybody doing product.
You get immediate results from your advertising, and that's what makes it work.
It has scaled our business beyond what we thought we would do this holiday season.
The only way to kickstart your business beyond what you think your expectations would have been anyway.
Script to Screen and M2 are as concerned about your product being successful as you are.
We want to deal with successful companies, and Script to Screen is certainly a successful company.
In this episode of Direct Response Marketing Mastery, we're going to talk about social media and how social media, direct response driven social media, is becoming much more of a very thought out process and strategy that we've been using with our clients. I'm Ken Kerry, this is Barbara Kerry, and we are the founders of Script to Screen, and we appreciate you for joining us for this show today. So let's talk about social media and what we've been doing with our clients and how we've been maximizing it in our direct response campaign. Social media and direct response usually aren't put together, and you have to be careful that it's called social media for a reason. It's because it's social. You share it, it has engagement, and direct response on social media is a little bit different. So it's going to be ROI driven. So the things that we have done with our clients in the past and present have been, we've been taking our commercials, editing down different versions of it for Facebook and Instagram at 60 seconds, and driving them to a unique URL to get an order based on the social media buy. Now that's a whole discussion in itself, so we're not going to get into the Facebook media buy, but the fact of the matter is the content that we've been producing for short form and long form infomercials and commercials make great content for social media when we're talking about an ROI driven direct response social media.
Right. For instance, we just have delivered probably about 20 assets to a client, and all those assets came from things that we had already shot for their commercials. So for Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and we could go on, they have a lot of material that we've been able to sort of help them amortize the costs of their original commercials and really get good bang for their buck on social media. And specifically, we have taken assets that we shot for the long form and the short form, but we've also created very specific social media content while we were shooting the infomercial, while we were shooting the commercial. Therefore, you're saving on dollars because you're doing it all at the same time, but you do have to have a very specific strategy for social and for your direct response when you're doing it that way. So with just a little bit of planning, right, it's amazing how much material you can pull out of a day. A recent CMO survey concluded that 78% of companies had dedicated social media teams, but only 26% integrated social media fully into their business strategies. Now, I think that says a lot. That says that is social media a viable aspect for all businesses? Absolutely, with those kinds of numbers. But are you integrating them into your whole business strategy? I mean, are you trying to get an ROI out of it? And that's our business lives and dies on an ROI. So there's such an opportunity to maximize an ROI in social media if you do it correctly. And I'm gonna graze over it pretty lightly, but what you don't want to do is don't want to jam a sale down somebody's throat in social media. You want to get their interest enough to make them want to go somewhere and try something or to look for more information. If you're sticking an ad, right, buy this, buy now with all that's not going to work. But you have to give them a value proposition. You have to somehow solve their problem
and identify their problem, give them a value proposition, and that's about all you can do in 60 seconds when it comes to a good social media ad that's designed to drive a response. So,
Well, we all know
Yeah.
just from being on social media ourselves as consumers of that, we don't like to see ads on social media. We want to skip by them. So you have to get creative and catch someone's attention in just a second or two, maybe, is all you have, and then compel them to watch and then hopefully direct them to what you're trying to get them to go to.
and one of the biggest reasons why we're talking about this today is because, you know, from what we do at Script to Screen, everything is so holistic in what we're doing. We're thinking from the very beginning of, you know, what's the end result? What are the goals that we want to reach in a direct response television campaign? And how can we use social media? How can we use digital? How can we use all the other things that we can produce with the content that we're producing to optimize and to give, you know, give a bottom line ROI. So everything we do now is so much more holistic. It's not just TV, and it's really important to think about that ahead of time. That's why I wanted to really bring it up today, because it's just become such an integral part of what we do.
Yeah, and you know, I have started to think about social media kind of as PR. You need it. You've got to be there. You've got to be where your customers' eyeballs are, and they're looking on social media. So it's, to me, it's like the old days before there was the internet. If you were launching something, you might have an article in the newspaper, or you might have a billboard or an ad in a magazine. You would try to hit people everywhere they're looking, and that's kind of how I look at social media. So you may not be able to completely build a business on it, but you want to have a presence there.
Right, and that's what you've said to me a couple of times, is like, that's the new PR. But we're trying to take that new PR and shift that more, or closer to an ROI-driven social media. You're getting the PR, you're in their feed, you have a presence, but we want to get them to do something.
Right.
Okay.
If we can get them to take action, that's the ultimate PR.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things. So let's talk about 4 things on what you need to do and how you can use social media, incorporate them into your direct response campaign, okay?
So the first thing is, include social proof as part of your offer. According to Socialnomics, 93% of a shopper's buying decisions are influenced by social media because 90% trust peer recommendations. This is where customer testimonials come in.
We've been saying this for a while. We live in a review-based economy. And when's the last time that you've made a big purchasing decision, or even a small purchasing decision, without checking out an Amazon review, or checking them out on Yelp,
Or asking a friend.
Or asking a friend. So it's becoming more and more part of the economy of how we make purchasing decisions. So within your social media, one of the things you're going to want to do is embed testimonials. You're going to want to embed customer reviews. They're going to check anyway, so make it easy for them. And the great thing about a customer review or a testimonial is they do a great job of selling your product or service for you already. So that's the number one thing that you want to be doing. Number 2 is you want to embed customer ratings and reviews. Now, I just talked about that a little bit in the tail end of number 1, but more specifically, a customer review or recommendation increases ROI, and that comes specifically from Socialnomics' report that talked about that, is that a customer review will increase ROI. So if they're saying, and the report's saying, that a customer review or testimony is increasing ROI, you want to incorporate it. Now, there's so many different ways that you can incorporate it. You can use a video testimonial, you can use a written testimonial, although I think that a written review is not as effective as a video review, especially, but just embed it in your message on social media. And it could be a very small part, or the whole social media content could be that. And we've actually made some social media content DR driven with just customer reviews, actually from a man on the street, for one of our clients. So embed it into your social media.
When you say ratings and reviews, I think 5-star reviews. How do you get customer reviews in kind of a snapshot so it's a quick takeaway for people to see?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that we like to do that, right? When in everything that we do is 5-star reviews when we can use them.
Right. So an example of that would be is you might put in a graphic. 5-star reviews say this about a product. So that 5-star review is pretty much international, if you will. People already get that. When they see that 5 stars, they already know that's a good thing. So put that graphic in there, or build in a voiceover piece that says, your product, it gets 90% 5-star reviews from customers who've tried it. And then you validate that with a testimonial saying, hey, it was the review that I listened to, that I saw, that really made me want to try the product. That's kind of the ultimate 1-2 punch, but that would be an example of how you'd use content in your social media.
Number 3, use social media content to create anticipation by sharing an upcoming direct response offer. We have a really fun example that I like to refer to. A few years ago, we did a project for Tracy Anderson. It was a fitness program, and she had a great following on Facebook. She had a great community. The people talked to each other, and a month before our television launch, Tracy was letting people know that she was coming out with a new program, and she was telling people about it. And so she really created a lot of excitement in her community. So as soon as the program launched, her community really bought into it, and it was a great way to kick off the sales of the project, because people loved it, they bought it, they were ready for it, and they bought it when it came out.
And she was actually promoting the infomercial that we produced that says this new program is coming out. So her audience, and that was hundreds of thousands of people, were already primed. And this goes back to your point on number 1, is it's that mixture of PR, because it was PR, but it was very ROI driven, because when they saw it, her audience saw it, they purchased. I mean, we immediately saw a spike in sales based on her promoting it through her social media channels.
Exactly.
And the last thing that you want to do is you want to include social media icons in everything that you do in social media. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So the point is that when you're doing a social media post, or you're talking about something that you're promoting or introducing or telling people about a new product or educating them on a product, is just put those icons. LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Put those icons on there because that becomes shareable. They'll know where they can find that information on another social media channel. So if somebody knows it's on Instagram, they're going to share it to their fans on Instagram or their followers on Instagram, or they're going to do that on Facebook. So let them know those icons are available, and of course you're going to have to create content in those channels, but you're quadrupling, if you will, your social media presence just by adding those icons into your social media ads.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you don't know this because you weren't in the meeting today, but we met with our digital team earlier today, and we got a look at how many people are actually sharing what we do on Facebook and from our website with other people. I was really kind of shocked because we don't have that many family and friends, I don't think. So a lot of our stuff is being shared, and that's just kind of an unexpected side benefit of being visible in these different places.
And eventually a share is eventually going to turn into a sale, or it's going to turn into a contact of somehow, some way. Because I always look at social media it's like the ultimate sales tool, because it keeps giving and keeps giving and keeps sharing and keeps going on. And you've only made that content once, but it keeps sharing as long as it's in people's feeds and they're very interested in it. So I hope that was helpful for you. So those are the 4 things that you need to be considering when you're thinking about direct response and social media. But the most important thing is your social media has to be value driven and social and content driven and authentic. You really do not want to be forcing something down somebody's throat, and I use that term heavy-handed, but you want to engage them, give them some good information, and then allow them to decide where they want to go. You want to guide them to where they want to go to purchase your product or service, but don't hit someone over the head. Keep it interesting, keep it social, but get them to want what you're selling and guide them.
So to recap, Number 1, include social proof as part of your offer. According to Socialnomics, remember, 93% of shoppers' buying decisions are influenced by social media because 90% of people trust peer recommendations.
Okay, number 2 is embed customer ratings and reviews. The credibility and trust instilled by them will increase ROI and conversion.
Number 3, use social media content to create anticipation by sharing an upcoming direct response offer or event.
And number 4, include social media icons in direct marketing channels to encourage customers to share the offers with others in their network. All right, so I hope those 4 things were helpful for you. Thanks for joining us on Direct Response Marketing Mastery. We have a lot of new content coming up soon, and that's it for now.